Hello and welcome back to another one of my FPL videos. I of course am the FPL train, and in this video we're going to be looking at transfer plans ahead of game week 31, which of course starts literally tomorrow. Quick turnaround from 30 to 31 and also 32, which will be happening at the weekend as well. So I mean, I do love it when it's like this, but man, it is crazy and you've really got to be on the ball. But yeah, I've got some transfers to show you what I think will be good ahead of game week 31, and they are differentials. I've decided to go for something different. Obviously, I could have done what I'm guessing majority of people will be going on about, and that is, of course, bringing in Liverpool assets like your Darwin Núñez's and your Bradley's, or even your Luis Diaz's. I've decided to avoid all of them and look at different types of players, just show you there might be a better, well, not a better chance, but a decent chance of going for something a bit different. Because you never know. Maybe some of these Liverpool assets, for example, could blank or even get subbed off early. But anyways, before we look at them, let's look at the previous game week where I recommended these transfers we've got in front of us. And I've got to tell you, 2 out of 3 ain't bad for me, to be fair. So starting us off, I went with getting rid of Doty and bringing in Mykolenko. Now, I thought that would be actually a pretty decent transfer, and it turned out to be an absolute disaster, just purely based on there was no injuries to Mykolenko. He was simply just ill, it came out. So T News came out and I saw it and I went, what the hell is going on here? Where is Mykolenko? He turns out he's ill, and that's why he didn't play in game week 30. So he ended up with no points whatsoever. And of course, Everton lost 2-1 in that game. So would he have even made any difference? Maybe, maybe not. We just won't know. But yeah, he came with no points for obviously Doty. He did play, obviously he didn't, they didn't win. Luton. They did concede a couple of goals, but he did come away with a couple of points at least, so he had outperformed Mykolenko, so that one was a disaster. The next one, not so much, so I said get rid of Foden. He's got Arsenal. Yes, it may be at home, but Arsenal have the best defence in the league, and they prove that yet again. I mean, the game worked great if you watched it, and of course, he did go off early, Foden, so if you did still own Foden, you were pretty lucky, because if you went off a few minutes earlier, you only had 2 points, rather than 3. But the recommendation was, of course, getting Mo Salah. I fancied him scoring yesterday against Brighton. That did happen. And of course, with Sheffield United coming up as well, you got to be loving it. So yeah, he did come away with a goal. No bonus points though, which was disappointing. So he only got 7 points, but he did outperform Phil Foden, which is the most important thing there. But especially because I did actually do that transfer as well. I mean, the final one I have on here is taking Carlton Morris out, who's going for an absolute disaster now. I think that's what 4 or 5 games of blanking after having that little mini run he had. So yeah, he blanked yet again. Whereas Núñez, I think I said it right. Anyway, he of course did score. I mean, that game following Sheffield United was absolutely mental. I mean, my God, it could have been 4-1 at one point. I mean, to finish 3-3 was absolutely crazy. Núñez did get that goal. No bonus points from him as well. But, the guy's on fire. I think he's got like 8 or 9 goals this season. That is absolutely incredible considering nobody saw this coming. He was a much cheaper, obviously, asset as well than Morris. And the fact that he's outscored him as well by 4 points, that is absolutely ace. And if you did bring him in, fair play to you. I still haven't brought him in. I still haven't got the minerals to do it. But if you did, fair play to you all. So the first transfer then I've got on here is taking out Udogie for Semedo. Now, I know a lot of people are saying don't get rid of your Spurs assets. Obviously, after game week 34, they've got a couple of double game weeks to come. So you don't want to get rid of your Spurs assets. And yeah, I do agree you need Spurs players after game week 34. Because obviously, game week 34 is the big double up, but they blank. And before that, obviously, they've got Newcastle away, which is tough. Don't see them keeping a clean sheet there. And West Ham away. It's the derby game. It's away. I think they'll concede there. Forest is possibly Spurs' best chance of getting a clean sheet in the next 4 game weeks. That ain't great. 1 out of 4. It's not what you really want. So I don't see the point in keeping Spurs players right now. Especially, I mean, apart from Son, I'd say. But especially the fact that they're blanking in game week 34. And if you do have, let's say, a wild card still, you can use that later on and bring in your Spurs players. But I don't see the point in keeping them right now. I mean, the fixtures from now until after game week 34 are not great. Then you should bring him in. So yeah, I definitely think just get rid of Udogie or Pedro Porro if you own him as well. I say out of both of them because I just don't see much happen in the next few weeks. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And obviously bringing in Semedo, look, his stats aren't great. He plays right wing back for Wolves, and I think he's got like 1 goal or 2 assists, something daft like that. It's terrible, let's face it. So the reason why I've said bring him in, because his fixtures aren't too bad, but it's funny I say that because his fixtures are slightly similar to Udogie's. So game week 31, he's got Burnley away. Good chance there he can get a clean sheet there. Game week 32, he plays West Ham at home. Now this one's classed as green because it's at home. Whereas obviously Spurs is gone down as grey because they're away from home. That's why Wolves, I do think they'll actually keep a clean sheet in that game, to be fair, or have a good chance. I think, to be fair, I think Wolves West Ham would finish 0-0, personally. Or 1-1, possibly. No, I'm going to go 0-0. I'd do that on my Super 6. So yeah, I think that game would finish 0-0. I mean, Forest away, again, I think that will be a close game. And I think there's a good chance that they'll be able to squeeze a clean sheet there as well. And then they've got the double game week in game week 34. Now, obviously, one of them is against Arsenal, which ain't great, and they will concede in my eyes against Arsenal. The second one, again, is at home, but it's against Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth have been decent, but I do think they could keep a clean sheet there. I have more faith in Wolves keeping clean sheets than I do Spurs because of the way Spurs play. So that's 3, possibly 4 clean sheets, which will be mental. I'd say probably 3 clean sheets in the next 4 game weeks. Ain't too bad, to be fair, for a guy as well who's 0.5 mil cheaper than Udogie. Now, you don't have to go for Smeda, you can go for somebody else, or Aiden Yuri, something like that. Or if you want to go, for a Killman, yeah, go for one of those. I've just got Smeda on here because, he does start every game week, whereas Aiden Yuri does get rotated, come off early. Smeda, if he comes off early, you look at about the 83rd minute he's coming off. So, yeah. I do think it'd be a decent shout because he's not even 1% owned. And you may as well go for the gamble. It's the end of the season now. We're at the last stretch of it. We may as well just go for it because everyone's got pretty much the same team. It's pretty boring because if your rank is going up, it's not going up by much. And if it's going down, it's not going down by much, as I'm finding out as well. So, yeah, I think it's worth going for a punt for. Definitely a Wolves defender. And of course, with the second transfer, we're going to carry on this trend then on getting rid of Spurs players. To be fair, I found it difficult on which players I wanted to decide to get rid of in this video. I did think possibly Man City players, but I've already mentioned the week before about getting rid of Phil Foden. There's not really anybody. And the week before that, I said get rid of De Bruyne. So there's not really many players I can think of. Arsenal assets, I mean, I'd probably keep them. But I'm not sure many people really have anybody else except Saka currently in midfield. Maybe if they've got Havertz, but not a lot of people went for him. So I've decided to stick with getting rid of Spurs players just because I don't like the fixtures. Maddison, I mean, it was a bit disappointing really. He went off early, in the last game week, which just happened. So that was surprising. I thought it was saying, particularly as well, because I think it was 1-1 at the time between Spurs and Luton. So, we did expect, obviously, him to play full 90 minutes. The fact that he didn't and he came off early was disappointing. It might be the fact that he's got, obviously, a midweek game and then a game at the weekend. Obviously, Maddison, let's face it, he's not exactly known for, staying fit all season, is he? He does love the odd injury. So, yeah, it was surprising, but I'm going to say it was because of that. But, like I said, the fixtures aren't looking great, really. I mean, attackingly, look, I've got no problems. I think he could do well. But, the blanking game at 34 ain't great. But anyways, let's talk about the replacement here. And that is, of course, Mbeumo. Mbeumo. I'd really love that name. But anyway, yeah, he's back. I mean, he's obviously not started yet for Brentford since his return, for obvious reasons, because he was out for quite a long time. But is it the right time now to go for him? Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. He might start next game. He might not. I don't think he will, personally, for game week 31. But I think after that, maybe at the weekend and following weekend, game week 32, he probably will start. But it's probably worth going for. I mean, he came on late against Man United and he smacked the bar. Cracking shot. So, yeah, he came close to scoring then. You got to remember, before he got injured, he played 15 games, he scored 7 goals and got 4 assists, and that was without Ivan Toney. Now, you could say, well, it'll get mixed up now with him and Toney, but still, after obviously you got Aston Villa in game week 32, they've got Sheffield United and Luton. That is what you want to see. And then even after that, you got the likes of Everton, Fulham and Bournemouth. And then Newcastle in the last game of the season, who do leak goals as well with injuries at their defence. So yeah, it just seems like a no-brainer. People might say, but you don't have a double game week in 34. If he goes back to what he was at the start of the season, you ain't going to give a damn about if he's got a double game week in game week 34. And the fact is, he's 6.7 million. He is cheap as well. And let's face it, people are looking at their teams now and they're actually thinking, what am I going to do here? Because the fact is, people don't have Mo Salah. They're going to be wanting to bring Mo Salah in. But at the same time, they're also going to own Son, Haaland, and more than likely Saka as well. So they're going to need to free up money somewhere. And if you've got Maddison, you know, why not take him out, get an Mbumo? There you go. You saved yourself, what, 1.3 million there. Mate, yeah, I just think that this could be, it's a gamble. Don't get me wrong, it is a gamble. But it might pay off, you know, especially with game week 33 and 34 being Sheffield United and Luton. Brighton, let's face it, they're known for leaking goals. And Aston Villa, they do like to play a high line. I mean, obviously it's going to be a bit hard being at Villa Park, but you never know. And you never know, he could go back to that form at start of season. So yeah, Mbumo looks like he could be a tidy shout. And that brings me on to my final transfer then, and it's taking out Ollie Watkins for Isak. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is knee-jerk reaction, clearly. No, it's not. There's a reason why I've got Isak in here. So, obviously, the obvious option to go for was obviously Darwin Núñez, but I didn't want to talk about that. Look, Isak, yeah, he scored 2 goals, got an assist against West Ham, and he looks like, well, you're only doing it because of that. But no, I'm not. Look at Isak's fixtures from now until the end of the season. Everton at home. Yeah, that he would probably score there. Fulham away, they've just conceded 3 against Sheffield United. Spurs at home, Spurs just love to attack and forget about defending. And then it's Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, Burnley, Brighton, and Brentford. All of these teams just concede left, right, and centre. What a run! If he can stay fit, and let's face it, he probably can't. He will absolutely smash it from now to the end of the season. Yes, he doesn't have a double game week, you know, nightmare, but still. Those fixtures from now to the end of the season are absolutely incredible, right? He's on penalties for Newcastle as well. Newcastle could easily go on a run from now until the end of the season. So it just makes sense to go for somebody like Isak. He's, you know, if he's fit, he's gonna start. Whereas Darwin, if everybody else is fit, then he might get rotated, he might come off early. Isak's not that kind of player. So it just makes sense. Go for somebody different. I mean, he is still 14% owned, but obviously, about 50% of FPL players have already stopped playing, so a lot of them probably own him still. So yeah, I think Isak would be an absolute great shout. Obviously, Watkins I've got as a takeout. I mean, he's been great this season. You know, he really has. He's absolutely smashed it. But his fixtures for the rest of the season don't look great. I mean, he's got Man City next game. That ain't great at all, is it? Game week 33, he's then got Arsenal away. I mean, that's not great either. In between that, Brentford and Bournemouth, they're nice, but you know, is it worth having him when you've got Man City and Arsenal in between? I don't think so. Then even after that, you got the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool to play. Yeah, from now to the end of the season, it's not great for Aston Villa, and also they don't have a double game week in 34 as well. He's now 9 million. I think it's probably best to put your money elsewhere. I mean, he's had a great season. Absolutely smashed it with 31 returns, but I just think maybe it is now the right time to let go of Ollie Watkins, especially as well the fact that he went off at half time with a hamstring injury against Wolves as well. So yeah, I think it's the right time now to get rid of Watkins for Isak. So yeah, those are the transfers that I'm going to recommend for game week 31. Let me know what you think. I like the look of them. They're all differentials. They're all, you know, nobody's looking at going for these guys. It's not the same boring ones. It's something different. You got to go different from now to the end of the season. This is when the fun starts. So yeah, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of these transfers and what you're going to do. Please don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.